Hey,
Hello, how are you?
good. How are you?
Good. Just before we get started, I just want to know that we do record our consultations. It's on the form and everything, as well like lessons, and we record a lot of things. But just a heads up on that.
Okay.
Um, so you're wanting training for Oakley. Katie filled me in and everything like that. But go ahead and just like from your perspective and everything, just fill me in on Oakley. Um, you're just sharing any important information that you think I should know about. If you have certain goals for Oakley, and then because I know she said your goal is obviously to continue to have him board, but I think you live far, correctly?
I live super close.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
so I know that was one of your goals already, but yeah, if you have anything for Oakley, just go ahead whenever you're ready. I'll be taking notes as you go along.
Yeah. So he's about to be 4. I before like K9, and we have been there since like the beginning. I think like right when you guys opened that facility at least. Um, Before that, we were like taking him when we would go like on vacation or when we would travel to like the pup hotels. I'm like, I can't do that again because it was just like a mess.
Mhm.
Um, so he's there, and I feel like he like is really good there. Like I know he has some of his issues or whatever, but I just like want to keep him there and not put him into like a different place. So obviously want to do the training. We both kind of work from home, so like taking him to daycare every week is just like a little annoying on our part because we're both home all day. Like we can take him for walks and do all that. In terms of like Oakley, I know Katie had mentioned some things, but he's like very good at home and like really good with us, great with people. You obviously like know him, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah. It's just he gets like super reactive with certain dogs. Like there's a husky that lives behind us, like in the building behind us, and they've never had an interaction like off leash or anything like that, but he hates this husky. Like hates him. Like he knows the honk of the car, and he like goes to the window and like hair up, growling, like he'll start crying. Like I don't know what it is. Um so if ever we're like seeing that dog walking, I'm like, oh my God, like he is pulling like crazy, going nuts. I don't know why. Because the husky's just like I don't care, like super chill. So there's that. And so that's like the first thing. One is like the behavior issues. I know like there he's like on, wait, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, there's like an echo. Um when he's there, he's on like a special watch, right? Where he can like only go with certain dogs.
It's I've seen him play with like a variety of dogs. It's more of like experienced handler watch him because I have seen him like here and there just like no, I'm not. He's not in the mood, or like his hackles are always up. He's really tense. So I'm like, okay, like a regular new handler wouldn't be able to identify or know what to do or know what's going on. So he's just with
Totally.
experienced handlers. But I mean, the last time I can't even really remember the last time he did have like a snap moment. I think there was. I don't know if it was a husky. I think it was like a German Shepherd maybe that he did like
Mm-hmm.
was like iffy with. So we just took the German Shepherd out, let Oakley play with the other dogs, and he's fine. But usually
Yeah.
he comes in, he's tense at first, but then he warms up pretty quickly and he'll just go into like play mode throughout the whole time.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah. So like I won't even take him to dog parks anymore just because like it makes me too nervous. Like he's super resource reactive like with his toys and everything.
Mhm.
So like when we do have him off leash, we'll like bring him to a park where no one's around just because I'm not like into having him around like 20 dogs at a dog park and then having something happen.
Mhm.
So he basically doesn't like play with other dogs now unless he's there or he's like with Chip at Katie's. Um, so I don't know. It just like makes me nervous. So that's probably like number one. The second is pulling on the leash. It like never stops. Like since he's been a puppy, he's been pulling, and now it's just like, well, it has been just more annoying because he's so big. Like, so like I like have to hold him, and I keep him really close to me, and it's not like, and I don't even know if this is right or not. I don't let him just like explore the whole like, you know, wherever we're walking. It's like he kind of goes to the bathroom, he sniffs a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, our goal is to walk, not to like sniff everything.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I've like read certain things where it's like, oh, it's a dog's walk, like they should be able to like sniff and explore, and so I just like don't know which is right. So there's that. We kind of have like the same path, the same few paths for every walk, and he's like pretty good like on those. If we were to take him any other walk, like where he doesn't know, he's like super annoying.
Got it. Like just like it looks like he's overstimulated, like just kind of like really pulling, really excited, correct?
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So that's that. Those are probably the two things. Like in terms of like basic commands, I feel like he's like really good with like just listening and learning, and I don't know. I think like he played with my brother's dog. My brother was like at my parents' house for a while, like living there while they were renovating their house, and I had Oakley there with his dog, who was like a boxer. And he kind of just ignored the dog the entire time, and they were like, they could be left alone together, but it was just like Oakley was always watching the dog but never really interacting. And then they went outside and they were playing and having fun, and then he turned like over I don't know what and just like kind of went at him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know like what causes him to just like switch that quickly.
Yeah, so like that's why only experienced handlers are with him in the play, because like I already know Oakley's kind of like he's always kind of tense, right? So he can play. Sometimes he'll play with a dog, but his hackles are up, but it looks like he's enjoying.
Yeah.
So what's going on there is that since he's already uncomfortable with the dog in the home, he's kind of like, I don't know. They start to play. It could have been what most likely happened. The boxer kind of maybe did something that was too rough, or the play got escalated and past like Oakley's like threshold, like, okay, this is too much. You need to stop. Yeah. So dogs can't tell each other like, hey, off or leave it or anything like that. So they communicate with each other like through the mouths. So you know, when that happens, it's just nature, you know, boom, or you know, however Oakley decided to address it, that's what happened. And then maybe because that's what I'm getting from that, is that most likely it was just, if they're playing, if there were no balls around, nothing to guard or anything like that, then it's probably just because the play got escalated and he was just like, no, that's enough, and then just like kind of stopped it there.
Yeah, so that's like kind of his way of being like, I'm done.
Correct. Yeah. So you know, for Oakley, you know, I would just keep an eye, like, you know, if they're playing nicely, you know, I always like to, I mean, in general, not even just Oakley here, but playtime for a facility is always like in a calm way, right? We don't allow zooms, like where dogs like start to chase there. We don't allow that, because that's escalating, right? We don't allow dogs like standing up and playing, because that's an escalation, because when they're stuck here in the air, that's when a fight can happen. Like we're very, very like, you can play, but don't just like act a fool like the whole time, right?
Yeah, so, totally.
Oakley's one of those dogs where it's just like, if the other dog, because even just like in general, his demeanor is very like relaxed. Like he's just kind of like, I'm here, like, you know, whatever. So I also just look at the dog's personality in general. Like I wouldn't put Oakley with like a dog who has like we have another dog named Frank. He's like a pity lab mix. He's like a little missile. Like he's like intense when he plays. I would not put Frank with Oakley, because they're both very different dogs, right? Yeah. So it's just about like knowing the other dog, and just watching, like, you know, like, is this escalating? How does Oakley look? Like, is his hackles up? Is he they look a little uncomfortable, because a dog will never do something without a warning. So like sometimes owners will say like out of nowhere, like impossible. Like a dog always gives you a sign, or there's always an answer to something.
Okay.
So that's why I'm assuming it's just from play got escalated, or like the boxer maybe like bit a little too hard or something like that, where Oakley was like, okay, that's enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And like we use like his e-collar, and I never take him off leash without it. So he responds to that like very quickly, like even just the beep. But I of course like wasn't out with him, so I don't even know. Like it was like a quick thing, but that's really why I won't take him to the dog park. And I feel like he loves to play, but I'm like, I'm not gonna. It's one thing when it happens to my brother's dog, but it's another thing if it happens to someone else's dog. So I feel bad, but I can't like do that.
Yeah, I mean, dogs don't need to go to dog parks. Dog parks are a human thing. Humans made that, right? So I never take my dogs to dog parks. When I used to, I would always enter in with like some sort of anxiety of like, hopefully no one like picks a fight with my dog, or like I worry too much about it. And just from working here, having full control of everything, I am more relaxed about it. So issues with the dog park would be like, if there's an excited dog, like you can't step in to like, hey, can you get your dog? Because it's like, well, we're at the dog park, like, it's just thing.
Totally.
So, like, I wouldn't feel bad that Oakley can't go to the dog park, because they're meant for dogs, but like in a human way. So that's why most of the times they fail, because humans don't know what they're doing with their dogs, right? They get sick because something passes along, and then now you gotta pay this. Now you gotta go to the vet, pay this huge amount of money because he got giardia, kind of, or whatever it is, and then it just becomes like an extra hassle. And most of the times, there's going to be like a ball there, so like that's another thing. Well, Oakley's bringing balls here, and Oakley's a resource guarder, so it's probably not the best situation to put him under, because it can be unfair to him. It's like, I know he's a resource guarder, so if we're putting him in a situation where there's like balls everywhere, I'm expecting something to happen,
Right, exactly. And I don't like, I feel like he's doing what he thinks he's supposed to do. Like, oh, that's my ball, I'm gonna like guard that ball. And then, he's like, well, what? Like, that took my ball. Like, that's how I feel about it. So I just like try to avoid those situations. Another thing I just thought of that he does is like, there's certain dogs when we're walking, and like the pulling is like, some walks he's perfect, and then other walks he's like, oh, I'm going to pull you over to this grass, I'm going to pull you to this tree. But then there's other situations when we're walking where it's like a dog's crossing, and like my fiance will just walk next to the dog, but he's much stronger than me, whereas like for me, I'm like, I'm going to walk on the other sidewalk, because there's certain dogs where he's just pulling so far towards that dog, and I'm like, I can't hold him, like.
Yeah. It all depends on like your comfortability. So if like, Jesse had a client, and they were addressing dog reactivity, and we always tell our owners, depending how intense it is, move over to the side, address your dog, and then continue to move on. Don't try to walk past the dog, because that's more difficult, because we've seen owners trip. It's just like, it's more difficult. So there was an owner, a client, that was making great progress. And Jesse said, you can walk by a dog and your dog will be fine. But the owner was like, I know, but I'm uncomfortable still. So Jesse's like, that's fine. Like, whenever you're ready, because he can already tell your dog is ready for it, but now it's like when you're ready. So I think like 2 years passed, and then the client calls Jesse. He's like, Jesse, I finally walked past the dog, and it was great. It worked. And just like, I know you can do it. Like it's just whenever you're ready for it. So let's say we get progress with Oakley, and you're seeing great progress, but then you're in your mind, you're like, I still don't want to do it, because you've been practicing this behavior for a while as well, of avoiding dogs and everything. That's great. Like that's fine, as long as it's not like you're hiding from the dogs, right? If you want to go around, stop to the side, move over, let them pass, that's perfectly fine, because you do have a bigger dog as well.
Totally.
So like
Yeah. And like sometimes I go past, it's just like I also am thinking about the other person walking their dog. I'm like, okay, well, if something were to happen, is that person strong enough to hold on to their dog? And I think about that. I'm like, no, she does not look strong enough. Like I'm going around, but I would like to just be able to walk and say, leave it or whatever, you know, and have that happen.
okay, cool. And then just something else. Oh, we'll talk about it later as well with the like, you know, because yeah, a lot of people would say, you know, freedom and sniffing and being a dog is what we should be doing as humans. But then it's like, if we're to do that, then because there's some things that need to be addressed first before we just allow that to happen. So like,
yeah,
well, you'll hear us say like we have an 80 and 20 rule. 80% should be structure and discipline for a dog, and 20% should be the freedom. Because
okay,
I have this issue as well for my dog is if you practice freedom 100% of the time, and like 10 or like 90% and 10% is a little bit of like structure and discipline, which is like maybe like you tell him to leave it and like he leaves his food alone or something like that, something simple. That is what your dog becomes.
yeah,
So it's like almost like raising a child, right? You know, let a child run around, get dirty, and you know, have fun, go out through the night. But then it's gonna become like, oh yeah, come home whenever you want, like I don't care. And then, oh, you don't want to go
yeah,
to school today? I don't care. Enjoy, have fun, be a child. But then it's like what kind of child are you raising, right? Versus
right,
like, you're gonna be home at this time. I don't care, right?
yeah,
Do your homework, go to school. I don't care if you do the speech and you're embarrassed or whatever it is. You got to go and do the speech. They're gonna become a more disciplined adult like throughout life, right? Same thing
yeah,
for the dogs. Whatever you are practicing with your dog is who they become, right?
yeah,
So just keeping that in mind as well. Of you know, because we'll give you exercises and things to do to keep the structure and discipline higher than your freedom or like the sniffing or like the ball or like the fetch and all that stuff there.
yeah,
But yeah, I have heard of that too, as like, you know, let your dog sniff around or be a dog and everything like that. But some dogs, some dogs like are able to do that and they're fine. Other dogs can't handle that much freedom and you need to be on top of everything. Oakley's not
totally.
a dog, but we have some cases where it's like if you like lay off a little bit of what we're telling you to do, they're going to regress. So you have to be on top of this dog, right? We get
Yeah, that
this
makes sense.
dogs as well.
Well, I also feel like, and this like might be something I'm making up, but I feel like he likes the the lessons and the structure and like, okay, I'm doing a good job, like type of thing. Like obviously when we go to a park and he's just chasing after his ball, like he loves that. But I feel like he likes to do a good job. I don't know if that's
yeah, because yeah, it's like because it's not like Oakley is how do I say he doesn't have any anxiety, but there's some dogs who have anxiety who are like, I don't know what to do. And they're just kind of like in this mode of like they need guidance. So then they're
yeah,
stuck, which is very unhealthy. So then once we start to give them something to do, they're like, oh, and then they're like, they start to like dial down and they're more relaxed because now they're like, they're being communicated like, oh, I just have to do this. And that's easy.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
when a dog
that
does get
makes sense.
structure and discipline and you're very black and white with them, they do thrive and they're more like, okay, I know what they're just more relaxed with that type of
Yeah,
lifestyle. Cool.
yeah,
So
like he knows like his exact routine every day. It's like, okay, this is when I get up and we go for a walk and then I get fed and but like, you know, so
yeah.
he's just
So
chilling here if you can see him.
oh yeah, there's the ear. Yeah, he's a cutie. He's always every time we have him, he's always a pleasure. He's just relaxed. You
Good.
know, he's not, you know, he'll play. He
Good.
does, I think, I don't know, you probably have you seen a video of him doing treadmill?
Yeah, I love it. How is he on that?
He's good. Once he gets on, he's fine. But like
Yeah.
it's that walk there, he's like, I don't want to do this. But then once he
Yeah, he
gets
gets
on, he's like,
scared.
he's going for it, which is
Yeah.
good for him to do. It's just gonna increase his confidence, like with you know new experiences. So it's good for dogs to do that stuff. But yeah, he's always you know pretty relaxed guy when he
Good.
comes to the facility and all. So that's good.
Yeah.
So for, everything you're kind of talking about, very simple, very easy to address. The husky, the reason why he's probably very intense with that husky is probably because it's close to your home. So it could be like maybe it stems from like a territorial behavior where it's like there's a dog near my home, there's people here, and he's just not a fan of that. And or it could be the husky's energy because maybe the husky's giving him eye contact he's not a fan of, or it just could be like, you know, either something around there. I'm thinking it's more territorial because you said they're right behind your home, correct? Or are they in the same building?
Yeah, the thing is that there's 8 units in our building, and every single unit has a dog, and he's like pretty okay with the dogs. It's just this specific husky that lives in the building behind us. And like it's to the point where like we're walking and I don't even see the husky. He stops and he's like he starts sniffing, and then we turn the corner, there's the husky, and he goes nuts. Like he can like smell him before we get to him or before I know he's around. I'm like, oh my God.
Has he
But
has he ever had like a was it just like from the start he just didn't like the dog, or did something
we
happen?
were like playing when we first moved into the building, and like we have like a fenced in like parking area in the back, like it's all open, but we were like playing, he was off leash in the back, and the husky came up and they came up to the fence and like they were fine, and then all of a sudden Oakley was like, heck no, I don't like this. I don't know if it's like, okay, this, I'm like new in my home and then there's this dog. I have no idea. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so with we call it like barrier aggression. So that's common
Okay.
where I don't know, there's like a really popular video if you've seen it where there's two dogs barking and it's like a gate, and then they're
Okay.
like going at it behind the gate, and then the gate opens and they see each other and they're just like, oh, now what? And then they just
Oh,
stop,
interesting.
and then they close the gate again and then they start barking again. So
No way.
it could have been just like either he had that aggression there where it's like, you know, it probably was very tense there with the berry and everything,
Yeah.
but then he kind of carried that. He like, you know, he's like, I remember that dog because that's
Yeah.
the dog I had an altercation with because first time he moved in, new environment, they because it's like with like dogs who have human aggression that are developing it, if they're like an adopted from a shelter. So like the client would say, yeah, for my mom, my dad, he doesn't care about, but everyone that's newer, he hates. Oh, when did your dog meet the mom and dad? Oh, like within the week. Okay, usually 3 weeks, or like within the 3 weeks of the first time that the owner gets a dog that's adopted, they're cool with because
Yeah.
they're it's just new. So it could be the same thing reverse, where it's like if they have a bad altercation with someone within those first moments of a new environment or anything like that, it's still there. So it's just
Yeah.
tension. But either way, it shouldn't be an issue to address. It is interesting how he like will sniff and like just like
Oh
turn
my
on.
God, it's crazy. Like it is so crazy. We're to the point where we're like just chilling here and he hears the honk of the car they drive, and he like pops up and goes to our window, and then you see the car drive by and like the husky's in the car. It's just the owner. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? It's like so wild. Like dogs are so crazy.
Yeah, Oakley. Jesus, Oakley. We also we talk about. Are you interested in addressing the resource guarding?
I guess what would that mean? Like what would that
Like
entail?
so I'm going by like priorities. So it sounds like your priority is reactivity and leash walking. And then you mentioned something about resource guarding. Are you like, do you care if he guarding like like would you want to do like would you want to focus on that as well, or is it like, no, I just really want to focus on these two things and that's it? Or how do you feel about the resource guarding? Because it sounds like he just resource guards against other dogs. Like, do you want to?
Yeah, he does. I mean, I would imagine, I don't know, I would like have you tell me what you think. Like I don't know if like that goes in like hand in hand with reacting to dogs, or is that like separate, or I don't really know.
Yeah, they're separate. So
Okay.
how dogs, because I'm pretty sure you've heard like the dominant dog, right? Yeah, there could be such thing as a dominant dog, but there's different like scenarios. Dogs are very like on and off, right?
Hmm.
So versus like humans, like we like to hold on to things like a grudge with a person, but dogs aren't
Hmm.
like that. They don't take things personally.
Yeah.
So reactivity is something separate. Resource guarding is something separate. So you can have a dog who's confident environmentally, right? They're walking around, tail wagging. They're like, "Oh, what's this smell? What's over here?" But then when you put them in um, what's the word? You put them in the crate, or like they're in like a play group. They're just kind of insecure because like this is not where I'm comfortable at or confident at. Same thing with
Yeah.
resource guarding. A dog can be dominant with like food and water, but submissive and less dominant in environmentally. They're uncomfortable with like the environment. They're kind of skittish. But when it comes to a
Yeah.
ball, they'll turn on like that. Like, nope, this is my ball. I'm confident.
Yeah.
Same thing with humans. Like, we're confident in our dog training because this is what we do every day. Versus,
Right.
um, like, let's say I'm in a lesson with you. What do you do for a living, or like, what's your occupation?
Me, I sell real estate.
Right? So if we're doing a lesson on dog training, I am the more dominant one because we're talking about dog training. Versus if you
Totally.
take me like on a trip to like meetings and stuff like that, I'm gonna be like the guy like kind of like just
Yeah.
listening and
What's
absorbing
going
information.
on?
Exactly. So
Totally.
I'm the less dominant one there. So they don't connect. Could it help? Maybe. But there are two separate things: resource guarding and
Okay.
activity. Socializing
So
and
we could say that he like resource guards and he is reactive towards other dogs, and they're not like it's not like he's reacting because his resources are
yeah,
there. Like it's just two separate things.
correct. So like we'll hear owners say, "My dog's aggressive." What did he do? He bit a dog. Why? With the ball. Oh, what happens if there's no balls? He's fine. Okay, your dog
Yeah.
isn't aggressive. He's just a resource guarder, which means he's going to result into aggression in this scenario. So you can
Okay.
have a reactive dog and he's not a resource guarder, or you can have a
Right.
resource guarder and he's not reactive. So they're
Got it.
things.
So could I be a resource?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe there could be situations where like when we talk about on leash reactivity and off leash so like my dog is great off leash, there's no reactivity, but when my dog's on a leash, reactive. It could be a territorial thing. It could be an insecurity. Maybe he's thinking, oh man, like this dog, what's this dog's plan? What's this dog's goal? Like I don't know what to do, because dogs only have a few responses to stress: fight, flight, avoid, submission, and a few other things, right? Submission and avoidance aren't going to happen because he's not comfortable yet. So he's not going to
Yeah.
submit.
Yeah.
Flight mode won't happen as well because he's attached to a leash. He can't run away. So the only thing that's left is fight. So he's going to go into that fight mode because he's like, I got to do something, right? Versus when the dog's off leash, you might not see anything because he has that option to run away. So he's not going to go into straight right away reactivity mode because he has a few more options in case he gets overwhelmed, stressed, or whatever it is. Does it make sense?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Like dreaming right now and making really funny noises.
Say again?
He's like dreaming and like doing the twitching and making really funny noises right now.
You're thinking about that husky. No.
Yeah, probably.
What was I about to say? So with the reactivity, it could stem from maybe he's insecure, territorial, right? Because territorial doesn't mean you're confident, right? It all comes from insecurity, right? So he could just be he could just be insecure in these situations. Or maybe, I had a conversation before you with another dog who isn't insecure, but he's like overstimulated. He's really intense and he loves to play with dogs so much that he gets frustrated, and then it turns into like aggression because he's so frustrated. He wants to play with the other dog. He can't. So it turns into like barking, growling, and just like a whole like
Got it.
scene, right?
Yeah.
For Oakley, territorial insecurity is what I'm getting from him. in these
So are these like learned behaviors? Like, did we do something initially that would cause him to be like this? Or is this just like, this is who he is?
So we can do a few things. What we can definitely do is make him not react. That's easy. What we can't make him do is like every single dog on the walks, right?
Yeah.
So that's up to Oakley, right? If you're like, because sometimes owners are like, they'll see the reactivity and they're like, but I want my dog to be social. Has your dog ever made friends before? Never. Like, okay, this is gonna be difficult, but we can make your dog not try to kill another dog for sure. But the part we can't make happen is your dog to play with another dog, right?
Right.
The dog.
So, sorry, just from what you know about Oakley, like, can he get to a point where like we're walking and he's not gonna like try to kill every dog we walk by, but also go to canine or, you know, the park or wherever and like be in a situation where he can still play?
Yes.
Okay.
I've never seen us addressing reactivity and the dog ends up not being social.
Like I can't talk to any dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a process on how everything works as we're addressing reactivity. But I've never seen one affect the other because again, they're two different things. Like we'll get like a dog who's reactive on leash, outside on walks, they're reactive, right? But then they bring the dog here on the leash and the dog isn't reactive because the dog is looking at the situation. They're thinking, okay, there's a lot of dogs here. I guess this is just a social setting. So then they're just not going to react, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
But we can definitely accomplish what you're saying is that, you know, get the reactivity done or down or gone. And then he can still understand that, okay, I can still play. I just can't, you know, blow up on these walks or do anything like that.
Right. Yeah. Totally. So are we saying the reactivity is like that is connected with the pulling?
Yes.
Or are those also okay?
So, what do you walk Oakley with, or what is he on a harness or a flat collar prong, or what do you use for his walks?
Flat collar. So actually, it might be bad because I use a leash. Well, he just has a flat collar, but I use a leash that has like a grip close to his collar, and then another one where Matt, my fiance, walks him with the slip one.
Got it. So,
but I can't grip that.
Yeah, tools do kind of play a role in everything. So
yeah.
The leash pulling could cause reactivity. So if you're walking Oakley and you're always like this and you're always tugging at him, right? This can get annoying for him to the point where it's like, man, she keeps pulling me. Like, oh, who's that dog over there? And then he gets pulled again. He's thinking, because dogs have what's called opposition reflex. Do you know what opposition reflex is?
No.
When you pull back on a dog, they want to go forward. When you pull forward on a dog, they want to go backwards. Left, they want to go right. Right, they want to go left. They always want to go against the pressure. So if a dog sees another dog and they're interested in it and you pull back, it makes them want to go forward, right? But the attention isn't turning off. So then it starts to build up into frustration, which could turn to reactivity mode, right?
Okay.
Harnesses, that's why we don't approve or use harnesses, because that is on the strongest part of a dog, on the strongest body part of a dog, which is the chest. And if a dog is another dog and you pull back, it wants them to go forward. Harnesses are meant for huskies to pull sleds.
Well, see, that's what I was told originally. Like someone had, when we got him as a puppy, someone was like, never use a harness because like he's part husky and like they're like bred to like pull on a harness, so it's never gonna. So I never got one because someone said that, but I don't know.
They were correct. They definitely saved you a lot of harder work, because if you get a puppy and you do the harness, the puppy sees another puppy or a person, whatever, and then the owner just pulls the puppy away and they move forward. It doesn't look like anything at the start. Over time, the puppy's thinking, man, every time I see a dog, I get this negative tension here and I get pulled away, but I want to go side of that dog. Time passes more, and then the puppy's like, all right, I'm getting really frustrated. And then you might see more lunging, and then the lunging turns to barking, the barking turns to like frustration, right? It's all coming from frustration anyways. But at rare times, if this continues for a long time, that frustration can turn to real aggression, right? Just because it's never addressed. So we use harnesses for protection trained dogs, right?
Okay.
Put the harness on the dog. There's the person across from us with the bite suit. We pull back, right? The dog wants to go forward. We release a little bit, pull, release, and then once we've seen enough frustration and aggression come out of the dog, we let the leash go, and the dog goes and bites the guy, right?
Yeah, interesting.
So like, if you ever seen like a movie, or if you ever been in a bar where these two guys are getting into it, and then one guy has his buddies hold him back, and you see him get more escalated.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same thing there.
Same thing. Interesting.
So tools do play a part in kind of everything we're doing, and like leash communication as well. So if we're giving tension to Oakley's wondering, how do I turn this off, this pressure here, and then he can just get frustrated and just kind of blow up with the dog or whatever it is he's associating the tension with, because it's like it's like he's thinking, why is this happening? Every time I see a dog, mom gets tense, so let's get rid of the dog, right? So he could be thinking that as well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So what needs to be done here, Oakley just needs more discipline and structure throughout the walks. You're familiar with the e-collar, correct? Because of Chip uses it and everything like that.
We have one.
And, oh yeah, you have one. Did you go through a trainer with that, or you guys did your own kind of research and did your own thing with it, or how did you go about it? Okay.
The last.
No worries. I
did watch a couple of your videos with Chip. Actually, when Chip first started doing training, and like how you're using it, and then I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if we've been using this right." So,
yeah, I mean,
we also don't use it on walks. Like, we literally only use it when he's off leash.
Got it. Okay, it's like for recall, right?
Yeah, just in case like something were to happen, he responds to it.
Got it. Okay. What's the brand you use? You use Sport Dog, right? Or
no, it's I think it like starts with an R or something.
or
I don't know. It was like expensive. I don't remember. I could go grab it.
yeah, because since he is a bigger dog.
Let me go grab it really quickly. It's right here. Sorry. Oh, Garmin.
Garmin,
yeah. He gets like excited when I pull it out because he thinks it means we're like going to the park.
So how many levels does that have?
It goes up to 10.
Okay, so the reason why I wouldn't recommend this collar is because Katie and we use Doctra, right?
Okay.
Has Katie ever shown you the e-collar, or have you seen it, or are you familiar with it?
I think, yeah, I've seen it.
Ours has 127 levels, right?
Okay.
So it's not that we have 100 more levels of power with your Garmin. It's just our 127, our maximum level, is equal to your 10.
Okay.
Right. So we have way more numbers more specific to Oakley's personality, the scenario we're in, because sometimes if, with those level e-collars, 5, maybe Oakley's yelping and it's too much, or maybe 4 is too low. So then you're stuck there. Is he going to be yelping, or is he not going to listen? So then you're stuck.
Yeah.
For dog drive, you can be very specific to like the number and like the breed, the personality, and all these things. So I would probably recommend Doctra for Oakley, just because I don't want to overwhelm him too much, or just like be stuck somewhere, or we're not trying to like correct him, but we're also not trying to like ignore the behavior of like what he's doing, because sometimes we might not need an intense power, because it's a common thought owners have, is like, so if the dog doesn't sit, do you just press a button? It's not that simple. Or like if the dog does a bad behavior, do you just max it out and slam the dog? It's not like that as well.
Okay.
So I'll send you like a link of the collar we recommend for Oakley.
Okay.
We've been using Dogshire for more, or Jesse's been using Dog for more than half his career. This has gotten him the best results. He's used other brands before, like Garmin, Sport Dog, Econ Technologies, but this brand provides a more duller type feeling to the dogs. Have you ever felt Econ before? Like the feeling of it?
Of this, or the Dogtra one?
Either one.
Yeah.
It's like just like a pulse, right? It's not so much like a shock or anything like that.
Yeah.
A shock collar is like created to, like, if you're like talking bad about the e-collar, it's like either remote collar training or e-collar training. That's what we call it. But the Dogtra provides a duller feeling. We've gotten the best results from our dogs with Dogtra brand. So that's why we use it all the time. They're waterproof, like probably, I think Garmin's waterproof as well. You get the mile long range and all that fun stuff. And it's very simple to use. You have your dial and your button, and that's all you really need. So for Oakley, what we would need to do first, as you've probably seen in the videos, is first we need to teach him the heel command, our version of heel. Our version of heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if I take 5 steps, Oakley takes 5 steps. If I take 10, Oakley takes 10. When they come to a stop, Oakley's to automatically sit with no words said, with a shoulder parallel to your leg, with a loose leash in any environment, right?
Okay.
So with the heel exercise, we're accomplishing a few things. Obedience with your leash manners, we're getting that done. We're also teaching Oakley how e-collar works. Oakley will never know that you're the one pressing the button. He's going to be thinking that it's just something happening with the universe, Big Brother, whatever you want to call it. It's just on the neck, it's happening. Okay. So he needs to first learn, before we dive into like reactivity or like resource guarding or anything like that. He needs to learn how this turns on, how it turns off. If a dog doesn't know how to turn it off, there's going to be a lot of like confusion there. So once he knows how this works, then we can go and move on to like more like behavior stuff. So leash walking, leash manners, and then having him understand what the e-collar is. We're also going to be addressing the reactivity. So an owner would wonder, like, why would teaching my dog to walk nice affect the reactivity with dogs, right? It's the psychology behind the heel that how it's going to affect the reactivity. So it's the discipline and the structure and the e-collar that's going to help you. So how we work, you probably have seen it. We find our working number, a number that's concerning to the dog, right? Because if our training isn't concerning to Oakley, then what's the point of it, right? It needs to be concerning for him, so concerning that he shouldn't really technically worry about anything else happening, because he's more concerned about this, right? Because this is real. The husky over there, right, isn't touching him. He probably isn't even looking at him, but for some reason he can't get these thoughts out of his head about this husky. So it's almost like, it's like if you see a ghost and it's like a very like disturbing looking ghost, but you know the ghost can't touch you. But then you have a man here, right, pointing a gun at your shoulder or your head or something like that, right? You're going to be more worried and concerned about the gun than the ghost. Same with e-collar. Oakley should be more concerned about this, right, than the dog, than the husky, or than whoever it is, right? This should be the one where he's like, not worth it, because this is more comfortable than the husky. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so he should be having it on every time he's on a leash.
Correct. And it's not so much for, because let's say we do the program, and then maybe you're like, he doesn't react anymore, right? And he's just great. You will still have it on, because we can't predict what's going to happen on these walks. So let's say you're walking and then a car accident happens. We're walking in a busy street, a car backfires, or maybe just something sudden happens where Oakley's like, okay, I'm out of here. And then he goes into flight mode and he books it. We've heard a lot of horror stories where owners get pulled to the ground, leashes break, collars slip out, something happens where the dog is just booking it. You have your e-collar on to override the flight mode, because again, he's thinking kill or be killed when he's in flight mode. So saying Oakley come or Oakley no might not work because he's thinking run for my life, right? So you have your remote to override the flight mode and make him do the 180 and come back to you, right? We're not necessarily using this all the time in the future, right? Because all the hard work is done in the beginning, right? So for my dogs or Jesse's dogs, we press the button maybe like 3 times a month for emergencies. So it's not like we're using it. It's just there just in case something happens. I want to know I have control over my dog. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's exactly why we have it on when he's on off leash at the park. It's not like we're using it all the time, but if we need it, it's there.
Correct, exactly. So we have like a spectrum of how we make progress with reactivity. So the first thing that usually goes away, if there's any, is human reactivity. If a dog has human reactivity, we teach the dog heel, and then they see a human and they don't react. It's something we don't need to address directly, and it just goes away on its own. Then it's calm dogs who aren't really interacting with Oakley, who are just walking past. That's the next thing that just kind of goes away on its own. I'm gonna sneeze real quick. Okay, thank you. Then it's rollerbladers, scooters, and bikes and joggers, fast moving stuff. And then it's other reactive dogs or dogs who just give energy back to Oakley. And then last thing that you can't really predict, it's you turn the corner and there's a dog there. That's just the one that's the last that you can't really be ready for. So maybe we go through the training for Oakley and we find that, calm dogs, he doesn't care. But maybe it's like other dogs who react to him or show him engagement, or maybe the husky is still an issue. Then we'll have to like tackle those things like separately on its own, or kind of create a controlled like environment, controlled context for Oakley to like mimic something like that.
Okay, so are all the, like this whole scenario, is this all done with him on a leash, or would this be done like in a play group, or like it's all like leash?
Yeah, so it depends on what program you're looking for. So are you, did you have a program in mind? Because we have in-person board and train, daycare and train. Is there one that you were kind of leaning more towards? Or
I just like don't really know.
Got it. Okay. So for you, I think I would recommend in person. I mean, we always recommend in person because with in-person programs, you learn a lot more. You're there for the whole training. So let's say you did daycare and train or like board and train. Let's say you were going on a trip and you're like, well, I'll take advantage of this, make it a board and train. Is that you'll get videos of us teaching the commands and everything like that, but you won't get to see us like taking him for a walk. And what if he reacts? You missed out on that because at the end of the day, like, I know what I'm doing. Elias knows what he's doing. Jesse knows what he's doing, right, with the dogs. But at the end of the day, it's going to be you handling Oakley. So if you're missing the most important part, like the reactivity, then it's like, well.
Yeah, no, I definitely would like to like be involved. Like,
correct. Yes.
This is for like us at home, like on our walk.
So. Exactly. So in person would be great for you. So it sounds like leash walking and reactivity. Recall, it sounds like you already have that is like your main concern, right? The walks. So we have the 3-week program, 6-week, 9 and 12. If you're just like, I just want to get the reactivity done and my leash walking, I think the 3-week program would be good, like bare bones, right? 6-week program would be good as well if you want more wiggle room. So like so for the 3-week program, we probably do first class will be heel, teaching the heel, right? We would probably have to space them out as well to give you time to practice and see how what changes. Second class, you come back, you're like, hey, Enrique, it's been going well. Still some reactivity. I don't know what's going on, or like sometimes he does this, or things like that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do like a training walk, or let's like walk by the dog park, or like walk somewhere, and let's see what's going on, and we'll tackle that. And then I'll see you maybe like another week passes, or like 2 weeks pass, and then I see you for your third class. I'm like, Enrique, it's gone. Like, he's perfect. It's great. I want to learn like a command, or like I want to go so over something else. Then we can do that for the third class. Or if it's like, Enrique, he's doing great, but now it's still that husky. And like, okay, well, let's see if we can either be in contact with that husky, or we'll do like an in-home and we'll walk around. Like at that time, you know, the husky's out and about, and we'll kind of tackle that situation on its own. That's, again, bare bones what you're looking for. The 6-week program would be 2 classes heal, same thing, see what it fixes. You have like an extra, you have more wiggle room there. But the 6 week is also there for if you're looking for like a stationary command as well. So like more commands, if that interests you, like place, or, you know, we can go over recall, like our version. So that's more reliable because since you kind of did an in-home, like at yourself with recall, I don't know if you would like want to go over that like with like an actual trainer to kind of see if everything's being practiced correctly, because the dog's first instinct to our first reaction to the e-collar is to run away. So sometimes when an owner puts an e-collar on a dog and they're out and about and they're like, so come, and they start tapping, the dog doesn't know to go to you. They'll just start moving around and they don't know where to go. So if that's something that's interesting or that interests you, like recall, I'd probably do the 6-week program. If you don't care about recall and you just want, again, the bare bones, the 3-week program would probably be the better fit for you. We would just have to space out the classes just so you're getting enough time and practice, because we only have 3 classes.
Right.
The 9 and 12 are there for like if you want more control obedience wise. So like the 9-week is like, well, I want to take him to like outdoor patios and I want him to like not move for like 2 hours. That's 9-week. The 12-week would be like, I go hiking every other weekend. I need him completely off leash trained because I do so much with him. Then the 12-week program is there for you. You're always more than welcome to buy more classes. So let's say you do the 3-week program and then you're like, maybe you're wanting to learn more, right? You could buy another 3-week program, or maybe if you want everything, you could buy like a 9-week or whatever it is that you desire at that time. They're all verbal instruction. We don't touch the dog. We're only coaching you what to do. So that's why you do learn a lot more. It does take more time just because think of how do I say it? 1 week of our time is equal to 6 classes of your time. Like we can get it done quicker, right?
Yeah.
But then again, you're lacking the insight there or whatever. Any questions about the in-person program?
So every time he's like doing a class, I'm there at the facility with him and you.
Correct. Or
okay,
with the nicer weather, we could be shifting or moving over to Oz Park.
Okay.
I was looking at this week, it looks like it's consistently like 50 or 60 degrees and up. So we could be operating at Oz Park, or if you're by, what's that park? It's on Logan Boulevard.
Oh, the dog park? On the
No.
boulevard?
You ever been to that park where they got that statue of the hand like this? I forget what it's called.
I don't know. But I live really close to. Oh yeah.
Palmer Square Park. We usually do those because Palmer Square is right off the highway right here, or Oz Park, it's busy. So this depends on the owner's location, but those are the parks we operate at. If you want to do an in-home program where we're going in your neighborhood, that works as well. I think there is an increase of price since we're operating in-home.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I could walk to your facility. Like I'm like a 15-minute walk. So nice. I mean, whichever, I can go wherever, whatever you think is best. What about like prices associated with this?
Tina is going to send you, my assistant, she's going to send you a follow-up email with all the programs I recommended, the e-card I recommend you guys to use, and prices, program, e-card, and oh no, you already filled out the forms. So basically it'll just be whenever you're ready.
So what did Katie do with Chip before she started working there? And she like, you had Chip at the facility and then sent her the videos. What is that? That's different than what I would be doing, right?
Yeah, it's different because for her, she was looking for basic obedience and she wanted like more control over things. And because the daycare train is there in case like, you know, an owner can't commit to seeing me 6 times, 8 times, whatever it is. But it has to be like more general obedience or like minor reactivity. So
Yeah.
Oakley does qualify for like board and train, daycare train, whatever it is. But Chip got 10, I don't know if it was a 10-day or 15, but he got the videos, or Katie got the videos, and then we did in-person lessons to kind of see how everything's being practiced. And I was just correcting a few things, and then
Got it.
we did like another session later on with the long leash and everything like that. But that is different.
Okay. So based
In-person.
on what you know from what I said and like knowing Oakley and everything, it's like what we just talked about, like start with like the basic heel and do it in person. You think that's like the best route?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
if you did the 3-week program, we'd be fine. The 6-week is going to give you more wiggle room though. So if you're like worried, like, because I've never seen Oakley be reactive.
Really?
I think the 3-week would be great.
So you think even when he has his hair up, like when he goes into play groups, that's not like a sign of being reactive necessarily?
It's just tension. So maybe
Okay.
we tackle the reactivity. You could see a change in how he socializes
Okay.
because you're knocking all that out, right? You're how do I say this? When we start to add discipline and structure in a dog's language, right? Because E comes physicality, right? Dogs are physical animals, so that's why this way of communicating to them is always successful. You might see them become more relaxed about certain things, right?
Okay.
So maybe when he goes into a play group now, he's going to be less tense because reactivity has finally been resolved for him. And he's not reactive, he's more calm. So when he goes into these situations, you might not see the tension or hackles go up. That might not happen. So a lot of times things go away on its own. So like I had a client who their dog was obsessed with like lights and glares and shadows. They would literally stare at the wall and start salivating. It looked like they were hypnotized.
Really?
Yeah, we taught them heel, and I think like by 3rd class, the owner was like, I was like, oh, how's the light and shadow things going? And he's like, oh, he doesn't do that anymore. Like he stopped doing that because of like the discipline and everything we're applying to the dog's life. So we could see a change in how he socializes. Wouldn't make it worse. It'd probably be for the better. Like things would probably start improving in that environment there.
So another thing I just thought of too. I think by accident bought a package for daycare. Originally I thought it was for boarding and realized it was for daycare. Like, do you think there's a benefit for me to have him like do the training and at the same time like spend a day there, or don't you see like a connection? Like I'm just thinking like if I did a training with you on a Monday, should I take him on Wednesday? So it's like for daycare or something, or not really?
It won't really change anything if he goes to daycare or not. If you're just like trying to get rid of the daycare days, what you can try doing is using it as credit towards your program if you want. If you're not really needing daycare. But that's like a personal preference there. If you want to use daycare days, then you can do that, or you can ask Elizabeth or the info email, see if that's possible to have it towards your in-person program or whatever it is you're looking for, or like maybe like put it towards like another like boarding reservation to have that as credit.
I just thought like, I don't know, maybe if there's like something good about him being in daycare while also doing the training, I would take him. But if you don't think it like necessarily matters, then
yeah, that would only be necessary if like Oakley was snapping at dogs like consistently. That's telling me like, okay, socialization is like a muscle, right? And the muscle needs to be constantly worked. If like here and there you do it and it's like always bad and it's always like not successful, it just needs more exercise. Oakley doesn't need that. He's perfectly fine. He's social. There's no issues really. So it's not really necessary for Oakley. There's other dogs where I'd be like, yeah, you need to bring your dog like at least once a week because you're giving the dog too many gaps and they're not acclimated yet, right? Oakley's been set from the start, so he like knows this.
Yeah, he knows it.
People, so he's perfectly fine.
Totally. Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I guess I'll just wait for the email, and then like, is there a place there where I like would sign up for my first one, or
Yeah, so
that information will be there?
that's through Tina. So Tina's
Okay.
gonna ask you for your availability. You'll give it to her. Based on that, we work with your availability. If you're like, if you give us, let's say you're available like Thursdays and Fridays, the days I'm off, you'll probably be working with Jesse then, which you can do right now if you want. So if you want to work with Jesse, you can do that. The 135. Oh no, you didn't pay for this consultation, right? Because it was free. Yeah.
No, I paid for it.
Oh, you paid for it?
Yeah.
Mm,
I paid 135. I think it said on the website that it goes towards the training package.
yeah, but I don't know if it might be for daycare regulars. A daycare regular client gets a free consultation. But yeah, the 135, if you happen to pay for it, it might be just because you're not a daycare regular. That's probably why they charge you for it. But the 135 will still go towards your program if you work with Jesse. So like you'll probably see in the form like Jesse doesn't take the 135 as like a credit. It's like separate.
Yeah.
It'll go to the program. It's just for the consultation. It'll still go towards your program there. So that's an option for you. But like I said, this is nothing like intense. Jesse's more for like the human aggression, like dog aggression, like where it's like it's real, it's there.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions?
No, Katie just texted me. No, I'm excited. I'm glad that you don't think it's like this huge, issue.
No. Other than that, I think we covered everything. Oh, to kind of finish
And if
off.
I do this, I can still. Sorry, if I do this, I can still take him to daycare or to boarding, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, good.
We talked about a little bit of like having the e-collar on your walks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would only be on when you need it. So like in the home now, you're in a meeting, Oakley's relaxed. You don't need the e-collar on then, right? It's only on when you need it. If you have a guest come over and maybe Oakley's fine with people walking in, but maybe your guest isn't a fan of dogs, you can collar him up 30 minutes prior, address whatever that is needing to be addressed. And if you find that he's relaxed and minding his own business throughout the rest of the stay of the guest, you can take it off or you can keep it on, just kind of personal preference there.
Yeah, that's interesting because when we have people over, like he's great once everyone's in. It's the walking, it's like letting people through the door where he just gets like, he just barks. I mean, he never does anything like harmful, but it's just like, why are you coming in here? And then after they're in for a few minutes, he just chills.
Got it. Okay. But he never barks again after that, really?
No, it's literally like right when he hears someone coming to the door.
Oh, I see. Well, that's technically normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that's something you want to address later on, maybe you can buy another program, or we can do that in the 6-week program if that's like a concern for you. But if you're like,
yeah, it's not really a concern. Like I'm sure it's annoying for people, but like especially when I'm home alone, I'd rather have him bark when he hears people at the door.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But any other questions?
No, this was super helpful. I'm excited. It'll be good.
Cool. Yeah, I think it'd be great. So then just keep an eye out for Tina's follow-up email.
Okay.
Sorry?
No, I just said okay.
If anything comes up, like any questions arise, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But other than that, Trisha, it was very nice speaking with you. Nice to see Oakley with his ear like flopping around. It's funny.
Literally chilling behind me still. Yeah. He just doesn't leave my sight.
But anyway, it was nice speaking with you.
Yeah.
Other than that, we'll be in touch then.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.